Hello and welcome to our next showcase of the LayerCraft. For this video I want to use this asset, this cliff, and I want to show you this crazy effect we can build with the LayerCraft on top of it. So I will just be quick, and firstly we have our material attribute layers node in the master layer of the any asset in your project, in any material. Right before the output of the material we will use this layers, and it will override everything existing, so it doesn't change anything. We just apply this and we have our material, nothing changed, but we have now layer parameters. So this is the workflow I'm going to guide you, and the first thing is we want to do not touch on the background layer because this layer has no mask or blend information, so it will override anything we overwrite this. So we just use as a non layer without any information. We just build our layers on top of it using existing information from the bottom and overwriting as we like. So as you can see, when we add the master layer we will overwriting anything, and our master layer has this default textures, so it's all good. So first let's switch to the virtual textures, because we have our virtual texture here and we can use the normal texture, and we can see directly the effect happening on this is overwriting the existing normals, like not touching anything on the previous normal information. It's just overwriting. That's very cool. But we still have our albedo and pack textures, because when we add our master layer, master blender, in the blend methods you will see this checkbox, material or use attribute blend. So this is blending the whole material, so everything, every attribute is built up for this layer on the top, and it will overwriting everything because we don't have any mask information. And we can check the mask information in the mask debug, and we click this. So this is the white, it will overwrite everything. When it's black, the black areas will be the previous layer, or in this case previous material. Let's switch the mask debug, and let's see, we use attribute blends because we're gonna blend with the specific attributes. In this case, as default you have base color. We will disable this, so we just have now our normal. We are just overwriting the existing normal information on top of it, and what we are going to blend, what we have as a normal information, and that will be described in the layer now. So since we have our normal texture, it will be like taking this normal and top, and it will be just blending. And if you notice, this UVs are not uniformed, this direction is different, like perpendicular to the rest of the mesh, and I just want some uniform from top to bottom writings, like it will be happening like a matrix effect. So we can work with the UV logic, and we have our work projection. We can enable this. As default we have single sample projection, which allows our UV methods to be worked, but in this case I will just disable this. And if you don't have any single or triple sample projection, it will be using like cheap projection. So this is just like a box projection. It will be uniform and everywhere, and actually this is also very nice. We have our writings everywhere, uniformly, but we want to use some effects, for some magic to vibrate and bring some things alive into life. So let's name our first layer as writings, and we're gonna add next layer. Again, the master layer, which will override everything. And what we're gonna use, we want only to add some emissive effects. So we can just enable an emissive, and emissive strength in this case will much higher. Yeah, this is the white color. We can change the color of it, some like goldish thing. Alright, now we have emissive, but it will have on the everywhere. But firstly, we still have our textures, and we still have all the material information coming from the top. So firstly, we want to just eliminate the emissive channel. So again, in the blend methods, in case instead of material, we just use attribute blend, and we don't want any base color, and also in this case normal, but only the emissive. So we don't have anything blending now, and when we tick the emissive color, it will override only the emissive channel on the whole blend. So again, we have, like if you can see, we have all the normal details, everything is the same. We just have extra emissive, and since we don't have any mask information, it will just override everything. So we will now work on the correcting. Firstly, we have our base mask and detail mask. What I want to have two kind of mask. One will be overwriting in the details of the normal we have. So this will be like attribute mask. Let me explain. When you enable the detail mask, as default, this will only work on the transition area of the base mask, and since we don't have any information, like it doesn't affect, we need to use overlay, which will be just multiplying the existing mask, which is default white. So we have our overlay now, and as default we are using attribute mask. We are using from bottom, and we want to use the normal information from the bottom as the mask. We can use the normal B, blue channel of the normal, and yeah, now we can see some things, but it is need to be inverted. So we can just multiply with -1, maybe -2 for high contrast, and even now we have some unique thing going on. And still, you know, which depending on the bottom layer, when we change the tiling, for example, the mask will also adapt automatically. So you can have really high density here, 0.2 let's say, and we have the emissive, but we want some movement in the emissive, so we need another mask on this. So in this case we can use texture mask, which this texture mask is anything, can be in this case RGB mask, and we have now this thing. This emissive is being masked by attribute as detail mask here, and also the RGB mask is masking here, and we can see the pattern now. What we want to control the offset, move the offset. We want animation, and so we are going to take our texture mask animation. We say yes, Now we have our axis. We want to go down, and it's way affecting, but the thing is, you know, here it's going left to right, for this is going top to bottom, because this is working on the UV space. If we were to project our mask, which is default as texture cheap projection, which is really like similar to the UV projection, and yeah, now we have, and in the world projection we can use the Z channel as the direction of the animation axis, so it will go from top to bottom. You can control the speed, make it really slow. This will go down, and we can have like tiling. When we increase the tiling on the y-axis, for example, it will be like stretched and, you know, making like lines going down. Pretty simple, huh? Really quick, but the effect, the overall effect is very nice. So, thanks to LayerCraft, you can adapt, you can transform your existing projects as existing assets and make a whole new look and feel. So thank you so much.